Hello, everyone. Peace be with all of you. This is Michael Mirdad here, and it's our presentation, Friday Night Spiritual Insights with Michael Mirdad. So thank you for joining us. This is what we're going to talk about today, fasting. What does it mean? Now, I'm not giving you a Webster's Dictionary recital of what they say fasting is. I'm giving you a deeper spiritual interpretation. So for starters, there's an interesting, one of the most, in a way, odd statements out of all the things that most people don't understand of Jesus's comments. One of them is where his apostles go out and they're succeeding at healing and doing all kinds of things. It's amazing in the name of Christ consciousness. But they say to him, we had one challenge. Casting out demons was a bit of a challenge. And his reply to them, as some of you would know, that's going to take more fasting. Why? Is it because demons run from people who haven't eaten in a while, right? I mean, think about it. You know, oh, there's somebody with an empty stomach. Let's flee from this person. It's not about literal fasting. What he's secretly saying is oh God, this is just so cool. But when you fast, it's not food alone. First of all, you can fast from ego, fast from television, fast from the news, fast from newspapers, fast from smoking, drinking, whatever. You can abstain from these things. But what he's partly saying, in a sense, the deepest part of what he's saying is when you fast, when you say, okay, this week, no alcohol, no drugs, no whatever, even food. When you abstain, it starts bringing up your issues for you to work on and clear. So we'll retranslate Jesus' statement in just a moment. I'm going to fast from food, let's say, alcohol, let's say. And as I do it, it starts to bring up like agitation, impatience, exhaustion, whatever it is. Why? Because that stuff was there all the time. And your food, your drink, your drug, that was always distracting you from what was already sitting inside of you. So technically, when you abstain or fast, you're starving out those feelings. You're starving them to come outwards. And so in a way, there's a great story in the Essene Gospel of Peace, book 1. There's 4 volumes, and they're just little 50 to 100 page books. But the Essene Gospel of Peace, great story. But I'm paraphrasing. Jesus walks into this town of people that are trying to live a spiritual life, I mean, some of them are just mundane people, but either, a bit of a community. He walks in and they recognize his light. And they say to him, there's one of us that's very, very sick and he's losing weight. We don't know why, but he hasn't been eating. And even when he eats, it doesn't affect him. He just continues to shrivel up, lose weight. Jesus says, bring the man here. In the meantime, bring me some milk as well. They bring him some milk. He pours it on the hot desert ground. And then it starts kind of fuming in the heat of the sun. The milk starts fuming. And, you can just tell it starts to curdle or whatever, And they bring the man out and they say, flip him upside down and hold him up off the ground over the milk with his face over the milk for, a few minutes or whatever. The man's body starts to convulse and convulse and convulse. And then this large worm, tapeworm, comes out of his body, through his throat, out his mouth, where Jesus then extracts the worm and explains this was in his body. It's a symbol of like evil. In other words, it's an illness, a dark part of the guy. And it was living in his being, and he was devouring all the food he would ingest, so nothing went and added to his nutrients or his weight for that matter. So all that point being, the point of that story being is that he was showing you that your stuff will come out when you starve it. When it's secret and it's hidden inside and you get away with it being hidden from you and you don't want other people to know about that thing in you, yeah, you can get away with that for a long time. starve it, and it starts to react. And that is an important thing when it comes to seeing ourselves. So what Jesus is really saying, and I'm retranslating now, for you to cast out those demons, you need to abstain from food for a while, because demons hate empty stomachs. No, retranslated. For you to cast out demons, because they're very sinister, they can read you, they know what's going on, they can mess with you. For you to cast out a highly intelligent being known as a demon that knows how to use your stuff against you, you have to starve your stuff out. You have to get past your own ego nature so that you're at a higher vibration, so that you can make that command. When you try to make that command to a being that can read you and it knows you're weak, you can't even go an hour without a Tootsie Roll, man. So it doesn't buy into it, or whatever your thing would be, you know? So no, it's really amazing, because what he's saying is you have to be a higher vibrational being. So by me not eating for 24 hours or for 40 days, 40 nights, that makes me higher vibration. No, you're missing the point again. It's that you're starving out your ego. So he's saying only egoless, now not completely egoless, but what he's saying is only those with less of an ego controlling them can speak so affirmatively and commandingly to a being that is a very, very sinister and, you know, malevolent, malicious being. So you have to be of a higher caliber, vibration, consciousness. And his point to, you know, to fasting is just that. When you fast, there's channelings of Mother Mary, very beautiful, authentic channelings. There's channelings of Mother Mary where she said to the children in Medjugorje, for example, every so often fast for a day. She would sometimes say every week or month, fast for a day. Only on dark breads. So that rules out Wonder Bread. Fast only on dark breads, because their high fiber and nutrient content will help cleanse the body. Edgar Cayce, you know, he had his famous 1 or 2 days of apples only. I think he preferred the Roman variety, in case you're interested. More so, not green apples, but more like the other. Then there was Edgar Cayce's grape fast, grapes only. And then there's people that do juice fasts and so forth. You know, but you got to be honest with yourself, guys. If you're going to do a fast, you can't go, I think I'm going to do 5 gallons of 16 different fruits in a smoothie with a couple scoops of ice cream, you know, every day. I mean, that's just having dessert several times a day. You're trying to use what sustains you and or cleanses you, or both. So nutritious breads maybe, but then if you're also wanting to experience less density of food, then maybe without it. You know, so think about this. Think about what I might do to fast, and don't think just foodless. Make a commitment, even if you don't join our group experience this weekend. Make a commitment sometime. You know, go one day if you can. You know, 7 o'clock in the evening till 7 o'clock the next evening, one day, or whatever you can. No, it doesn't count to say I'm going to fast from 12 midnight till 6 a.m. when you're sleeping. But when you fast, consider pushing away not just food, and drink plenty of water, because that's part of the cleanse, right, for anybody. And some people do liver fast, which is nice cold, you know, purified water with some lemon juice and some cayenne and some maple syrup. That's a pretty cool, I like the taste of that, actually. I've done that several times. I thought it was delicious. It's kind of cool because you taste the maple water, basically. And, oh, that tastes kind of good. Then you stop, and all of a sudden there's this, the cayenne kind of goes, whoa, you know, you notice it a little bit. You know, it's not overwhelming, but some people do that. But push away and say, I'm going to commit not only to not engorging, you know, myself with food, but I think I'm going to stay away from the news today. And that's why we chose a weekend, even though weekends are like, oh, I want to go out and party or do whatever. It's easier for you to fast on a weekend and have privacy and prayer and meditation than it is when you're at work. So even though for some it'll seem challenging, to me it's favorable. But yeah, no news today for me. And I think I'll abstain from talking to a certain person or two that's a little too intense and argumentative. I think I'll stay away from that stuff today. I think I'll stay away from the newspaper. You know, things like that. Um, but I call it a devotional weekend because it means I'm committing myself to God this weekend. I really want to tie in my relationship with God a bit more. Now, I would say call it God, talk to the Father, call on the Divine Mother, the Holy Spirit, call on Jesus. I don't recommend lesser than that, not even angels. Although if you have to do angels, fine. If that's all you can believe in to talk to. You know, you can also raise your confidence just talking to God directly. It's your creator, you know, talk to the Mother, the Father, God. But I wouldn't, you know, just, I'm going to spend the weekend fasting and talking to my dead mother. That's, guys, go to God. Yeah, your mother's part of God, but go to God, the part of consciousness and the universal consciousness that remembers everything about who we are. Your deceased relatives don't necessarily have a full, clear picture of how everything works. And I'm talking everything. So consider it. Now, it might be too much for you to say, okay, let's see, he said, you know, there's the emptying the cup and the refilling the cup. The emptying is the fasting, the refilling is the prayer meditation. So for the emptying my cup, I think Michael's saying, try not to do food, no sex, no certain phone calls, no news, no beer, seriously? No smoking? And it's like, well, what am I going to do? I have nothing left to do all day. Yeah, it's going to be challenging, man. You're going to be like biting your nails and pacing, and you're going to be agitated, maybe. But what you're seeing is this. You're seeing a reaction, chemical withdrawals, and so, yeah, true. But you're also seeing what was already there. You're already agitated. That's why you're agitated after you push away your addictions, because you're already agitated, but you're numbing it with food or whatever. So say no to these things and watch yourself. And it's, man, it's okay. Get a journal. I'm telling our crew, get a journal, write it down, grind your teeth, you know, beat on a pillow. This is frustrating. I can't do it. You don't have to. Don't make this one of those like old school, I'm a bad person if I can't do it. And besides, you know, it's about connecting with God, which is a beautiful experience, not a harsh one. The harshness is simply that you're starving your ego. And that's a good thing to do. And it gets ticked off. So be it, get ticked off. But if you are choosing to fast, you know, where do you draw the line if you have to supplement a little bit? Protein drinks are fine. You know, do you draw the line anywhere else? I mean, what if you say, how about 4 crackers and water when I really feel I need something? Okay, fine. Am I allowed to put a little honey on it? Okay, fine. How about butter? Okay, now it's starting to turn into dessert. How about maple syrup? At some point, you got to draw the line and say, you know what? Never mind. 4 crackers, swish it down with some water. I got a little something. You know, that's all right. Saltines or whatever, you know, the white crackers or any kind of cracker, wheat crackers, whatever. Just be careful not to get out of control and start adding more and more, because that's the ego's technique to always push you further than you really should go into, you know, ego-based kinds of things. So think ye about it. Some spiritual music, you know, make it a weekend of sanctuary. Wow, you know, new age or spiritual music. Wow, you know, and I think, God, I think I'll do this for several hours and then I'll sleep. What about when you're sleeping? Maybe you leave your computer on because it's a Zoom program. What if you leave your computer on and every hour hey, it's me. You'll subconsciously hear me talking, and it'll kind of just soak in, or shut it off. Make sure you get your sleep and not, not hear it if you don't want to during your sleep time, especially if it could wake you up. And maybe we just watch it later, you know, cool, whatever works, guys. But whether you're awake or not, this is going to be beautiful. There is going to be a downloading of more God presence. But first, we have to let go of what's in the way of that perfect holy experience. Just some stuff out, 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 out. Some people say, wow, you know what I want to do during this time too? I want to have a colonic. Great. Go have a colonic. By the way, if you do colonics as part of a cleanse, consider having, if you have a professional person do it, colonic machine and all that. I mean, that's better. It's far more effective. It takes like several water enemas to equal one colonic therapy or water, hydrotherapy, colonic machines and so forth. So it's far more effective and efficient to use the other. Honestly, it would take several of, again, enemas to equal one colonic. So if you do, whether it's yourself or the other person is doing it for you, get the colonic to cleanse as much as possible. I would say when you're maybe halfway done with the colonic, at least halfway done, maybe 60, 70% of the way, but at least halfway. Ask them to add into the water a mixture of baking soda and salt, actual salt, because that's antiseptic in your body, okay? So if it were me, I don't know, I might, this is again, if it's me, I'm just talking for me, you figure out what you'd like to do. I personally would do like maybe a half cup of baking soda and like a tablespoon of salt, that if it were me. So I would put that in the water, let that go in, try to keep it in there so it's it's alkalizing the colon, which is often acidic. And if your colon's acidic, the acids leach into the colon wall and then leach out into the system inside your body, into your bloodstream. So your blood becomes toxic with acidity, which then gets absorbed in your glands. Then your glands turn acidic, and that's every form of disease, especially cancers and inflammations and fatigue and arthritic conditions and so on. So once a month or once every 6 months or some sort of system you can get on to have a colonic, it's a good idea. But I would do, I would just bring a baggie, a Ziploc. I put like a half a cup of baking soda, a couple tablespoons of salt in there, pour it in the water when it's, getting sucked in. Usually they have a little, like a special cistern or whatever you want to call it, that can hold any and take in anything you want aside from just direct water. So you can use that, and it's antiseptic, and you could do that once or twice, 2 servings of that into the colon. But if it's a first time, maybe you would do a quarter cup of baking soda and a teaspoon of salt, just in case you have lesions or anything inside, because you can feel that sting. It's not terrible, but you can feel it. So maybe you want to experiment. And then when you're done, hold it in as long as you can, and then let it wash out. And like I said, I would do it twice if it were me, 2 servings of that. By that time, when it gets to be about 90% of the time, 90% of the colonic is done, use something like, there's something called glycothymoline. Okay, just like it sounds, you can phonetically, glyco, dash thymolene, Thymine, Moline, I think, yeah, says that right. Glycothymoline, it's very alkalizing. So was the baking soda, but glyco is alkalizing, but it's soothing. Where baking soda is acting like almost like a cleanser, astringent. It's powder, so it's going to be scrubbing the walls of the colon. This is to kind of coat and soothe. It also dissolves mucus out of the colon, so that's fantastic. So I would do that 90% of the way in, and then try to let that stay in for a while as much as possible. And you can look that up. That's kind of an Edgar Casey thing. So you can look up some of his recommendations for enemas and colonics and the recipes, because he agreed with those same kinds of things. A glycothymoline you can order online, but only whatever feels right for you guys. But definitely consider colonics as a part. You might not be because you're able to do it because it's a weekend. Maybe they're not open. That's fine. That's fine. Go get one later in the week, whatever, if you can. That's just an aside, okay? It's a great little aside that I'm sharing, because that's sort of a complete picture of dealing with, colon therapy. It's beautiful stuff, wonderful for people. There's always one in a million that it doesn't go well, doesn't suit them, whatever, that's fine. But just something to think about. Or another way to say it is, it's something I'm addressing because some of you are already asking about it. So there's a great way, a more effective way to do it. If you can't afford whatever it is, $50 or whatever, for a colonic, you use the enema bags, do it yourself. Read Casey on that, because he'll tell you that when you start the colonic, you lay on one side because you want the one side of your colon to get washed clean, which would be you have the descending colon. Then you have the transverse colon, then you have the ascending colon. So you'll be on one side, then knees, then the other side. So you kind of move, massage your tummy a little, whether it's a colonic or enema, massage it to get stuff broken up inside the colon. Just, extra additional notes here. All right. In any case, fasting, starve it, starve the ego. It's fine, and not in hate or hurt, but I mean, starve it, meaning I'm not going to jump into all my compulsions this weekend. Instead, I'm going to jump into my connection with God, which is the only thing that matters, the only thing that's important, and the only thing that truly makes a difference in my life, a closer walk with God. All right. And if you do it on your own, beautiful, devotional. You don't have to even do every hour. But if you're doing it on your own, maybe you play a little CD music or, iPod or whatever you've got, some beautiful affirmations, beautiful inspirational talks or meditations or guided visualizations or whatever, Course in Miracles quotes in the background, so that while you're sleeping, still I am working in a good way. I'm still on it, man. And then I wake up and I go and live that through the day. And then we at night do it again. So you can do this on your own. We'll just be doing our own version of it. If you'd like to join us, you're certainly welcome to. So that's it for today. I appreciate you joining us for this Friday Night Spiritual Insights with Michael Mirdad. We have 3 years of these recorded. You can go and watch on YouTube. We have, now hundreds, and they're free. You can also watch our Sunday services live, like this program. It's every Sunday, 10 o'clock. We do the Friday nights at 5:30. We do 10 o'clock on Sundays, Arizona time. All right. And remember, Arizona time. Don't go Pacific, don't go Central, don't go Mountain, don't go Eastern. Arizona does its own little thing with a time zone, so you have to look it up. All right. So join us as you will. And God bless you all. Appreciate that so many of you are on the path. And if you'd watch a show like this, generally you would be on the path, especially if you connect with and love a show like this. All right. It's a good sign of where you're at spiritually. And that's how we'll make the most difference. It won't be by screaming and yelling and trying to force change. People using the Scared Straight program, being forced into making changes governmentally, socially, economically, etc. It's been proven it does not last. Scaring people straight does not last. Scaring them into what you want them to do doesn't last. They tend to either end up going numb, they end up rebelling, they do a lot of things except staying with that. But to each his own. So God bless you. Thank you for joining us. Hope we see you in one of the programs or at one of our workshops and so forth sometime soon. And I just wish you well from my heart to yours. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.